One of the Philippines' most prominent journalists and one of her colleagues have been found guilty of libel in a case seen as a major blow to press freedom. Maria Ressa denies the charges over an article on her news website, Rappler, linking a businessman to criminal activity. The site has reported on extrajudicial killings and abuses during President Rodrigo Duterte's time in office. She faces up to 6 years in prison and is expected to appeal the conviction. Now, the case is the first of at least 8 filed against Ressa since Duterte came to office in 2016. They include alleged tax evasion and foreign ownership that are banned in the Philippines. The cyber libel case stems from a 2017 complaint filed by a businessman over a Rappler story published in 2012 before the cybercrime law was passed. Alfredo King says he was defamed when he was linked to the then Supreme Court justice who was later removed from office for failing to declare assets. The libel complaint was dismissed in 2018, but government investigators later reversed that decision. Maria Ressa joins us live now from Manila. Maria, thank you very much for your time. I guess first your reaction to this.
Disbelief at first, but then again, I can't really say that because I had expected the book to be thrown at me. I had expected a conviction. I had expected worse conditions. It's a very strange time, and you go through an emotional roller coaster. By the time it hit me, we've crossed another boundary. In 2016, the government attacks on social media said that they would try to turn the journalist label to criminal. It took 4 years, and here we are. I've now been convicted. But of course, we will fight this in court.
What are the types of ways that, obviously, this is the most egregious way in which your job has become impossible to do, but along the way, what were the things that you were seeing that you can tell this was going in a bad direction?
I think the weaponization of social media was the first, and this was in 2016. We did one of the first stories around the world to look at how Facebook algorithms impact democracy. For the series that we called The Propaganda War, I was attacked, and that kind of weaponization, the narratives that were there, that's where I became a criminal already, that then translated into the law. A year later, the same attacks came out of President Duterte's mouth, and then now it took a year, 4 years, but now the court has joined in this insidious attack on press freedom and the attempt to stifle the rights that are in the Constitution. The number of cases that have been filed in 2018, 11 cases against us, and then in 2019, the arrests and detention, and now 7 other criminal cases. So I guess I know what is coming. It's like looking at a train wreck happening in slow motion, but we're still standing. We're going to fight back. And while there's a veneer of rule of law, we're going to make sure that every signature, every name, Judge Montesa's court today made a decision that is now written down in stone. That's a new point.
When you say we are going to fight back, who are the allies of press freedom? Who are your allies in that country?
I actually think a lot more because, again, these attacks have been going on for a while, but just in 2020, 3 big things happened. A very militaristic pandemic lockdown. The second is just about a month ago on May 5th, President Duterte, the administration essentially shut down ABS-CBN, the largest broadcaster, the largest news group in this country. And then just last week, the House of Representatives passed an anti-terror bill that is essentially going to codify, institutionalize a lot of these abuses of power. And once the president turns this into law, you can be arrested without a warrant. If you are if you're questioning the government, you could be named a terrorist. You could be held in prison for 24 days without a warrant. These are new things. And I think that's why I feel like we're crossing another milestone with this decision, because it is codifying into law 2 major processes. The legal acrobatics that happened to get this case to court is incredible. The first one is that they actually had to change the statute of limitations for libel from 1 year to 12 years. And then they introduced a novel concept of republication, continuous publication, because the law that we supposedly violated didn't exist when we published this story. When we corrected a typographical error 2 years later, that is the basis of bringing this case to court. So
Unreal.
we want to hold the government to account on these.
So answer me this. What effect, obviously what you're going through is the most extreme, but there's a spectrum of the type of effect that this has on other journalists. How do you think this is affecting other journalists? Are they scared to do their jobs?
I think that was at the beginning. It's 4 years in. And I think I'm hoping that that journalists will see, and I made this appeal when I talked to them, that we must do our jobs, because if we don't exercise that, those rights will be taken away from us. And I think this stands for, all the rights that are guaranteed in the Constitution, because it sits on the public's right to know, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. I'm hoping we're waking up. I hate to be the one, we're the cautionary tale. The chilling effect happened years ago, and now there is enough of a track record, the shutting down of ABS-CBN being the one before me, and then here, a conviction for libel of a story I never had a hand in, and one of the things that was that made me both angry and made me laugh was there's a part in the judgment where the judge actually impugned malice by saying that my title, executive editor, is, and this is in her words, a clever ruse to evade responsibility. That I had that title before this case was filed, and I'll keep it, So we're going to challenge this in court. Judge Montesa made, I think, she dealt a blow to press freedom, but it isn't over.
A clever title. Wow. Well, you are a very smart woman. You are very clever. Ms. Maria Ressa, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right.